Peace. Greetings to you all. It's your brother Naheem, BKA Lord Abba, aka Mr. Just. The facts. What's going on, family? I'm not going to be on here too long. I want to stay in the spirit of what I was speaking about last night with the 10th Amendment and the things that are tantamount to our salvation here in this country. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all share the video out. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Hit that little bell icon next to the subscribe button so that you can become a part of the notification nation and receive alerts every time BTP goes live to bring you our dynamic content. What's going on? Sister Shanna, Sister April in the building. If for those that want to support the channel, you can cash app BETHEPOWER. You can also use the super chat feature. You can go to the website usadof.org and you can donate via our 501c3 where your donations are tax deductible. So I want to get into the topic at hand. Should a new Freedmen's Bureau be our first push, right? And I pose that question because of my own opinion. And people looked at our 12-point program and they saw that full repair was number 6, right? And they didn't understand what full repair actually meant. And so because of that, I wanted to do this stream tonight, and I wanted to get into the Freedmen's Bureau because this Freedmen information has upended a lot of things. And, I think it's only right that we get into this. For those that remember, I did I guess you could call it a video lecture here on Be the Power a few months ago, and I had this PowerPoint up. So what I want to do is I want to start with like the Freedmen Bureau. Like what was the objectives in the lecture that I had, and then I want to transition into the Office of New Americas and why we need our own Freedmen's Bureau, why it's so vital, or not our own. It is our own. Why we need a new resurrected Freedmen's Bureau. Brother Marlon Currington said yes, indeed, to the title. So I said, what is the Freedmen's Bureau? Why was it formed? Is it different from the Freedmen's Bank and Trust? How was it organized? How did it function? How do you access the records, and what does this mean for us as researchers? I'm not obviously going to get into all of that, but I'm going to, just do a cursory history on the Freedmen's Bureau and why it's important that we push to have, why I feel it's important that we push to have the Freedmen's Bureau reestablished in today's days and time. And when I get to the Office of New Americas, you all are going to see that, and it's going to blow your mind a little bit. So just bear with me. Okay, the Bureau of Refugees, Freedmen, and Abandoned Lands, which was established by an act of Congress on March 3rd, 1865. You can see House Resolution 613. It says the Bureau was responsible for the supervision and management of all matters relating to the refugees and freedmen and lands abandoned or seized during the Civil War, duties previously shared by military commanders and U.S. Treasury Department officials. In May 1865, President Andrew Johnson, now remember, Lincoln was the Freedmen's Bureau was started in March. Abraham Lincoln, due to Confederate backlash, was murdered in April. And then you have Andrew Johnson, whom history calls the accidental president, steps up and takes his place. It says President Andrew Johnson appointed Major General Oliver Otis Howard as commissioner of the Freedmen's Bureau. Howard's headquarters were in Washington, D.C., but assistant commissioner, sub-assistant commissioners, and agents conducted the Bureau's daily operations in the former Confederate states, the border states, and the District of Columbia, right? So, peace, sister Riri, BTP Riri in the building. Let me see. Let's go here. The Bureau of Refugees, Freedmen, and Abandoned Lands. And this is from Record Group 105. Like, I have a whole PDF, a PowerPoint, and I meant to email that PowerPoint out to people. And I may still do that to those that sent an email when we did the initial video a couple months ago. It says the bulk of the work done by the Freedmen's Bureau was conducted between June of 1865 and December 1868 before it was officially ended in 1872. Bureau functions included issuing rations and clothing, operating hospitals and refugee camps, and supervising labor contracts between planters and freed people. Because you have Black Democrats now trying to spread a false narrative about the Freedmen's Bureau, trying to make it some woman, anti-woman, they're trying to push like the feminazi agenda, but I mean, we have too much history and it won't work. The Bureau also managed apprenticeship disputes and complaints, assisted benevolent societies in the establishment of schools, helped in legalizing marriages entered into during slavery, and provided transportation to refugees and freed people who were attempting to reunite with their family or relocate to other parts of the country. As Congress extended the life of the Bureau, it added other duties, such as assisting Black soldiers and sailors in obtaining back pay, bounty payments, and pensions, right? So peace, Brother Charlie Jacobs, peace, Brother Shannon, a.k.a. Freedmen Media. So I'm going to exit out of this. I wanted to just give a breakdown of the Freedmen's Bureau and what it's about. Somebody asked, Annette Wilcox asked, what books would you recommend we read on the Freedmen's Bureau? I mean, the book From Here to Equality is, I think, an excellent book. I mean, there are books on the Freedmen's Bureau. Let me see. I think I have one author here. This one that I'm going to cite was what I was using in this particular PowerPoint, and it's called Under the Guardianship of the Nation, the Freedmen's Bureau and the Reconstruction of Georgia. That's one of them. It has some good information in there. Mercer Baradaran's book, The Color of Money, is excellent. What other books come to mind offhand? I don't know. Most of our research is done via those books, via books like The Bloody Shirt, The Color of Law, and just the online records, etc. Yeah, yes, I created those PowerPoints myself, Alan R. So let me stop sharing this, and let me go to. I want to show the people how many Freedmen Bureau field offices were set up. Look at that. And we see that this was an extensive effort by the federal government to establish Freedmen Bureau field offices all over the United States. You got Peace D. You have people that are saying that the Freedmen's Bureau was designed to actually steal our land, remove remove freedom from us. I'm just trying to think of the ignorant comment that I read from one of the Black Democrats last night on the platform. But you all can see these are the locations of the Freedmen's Bureau offices. I think I could blow that up a little bit. I don't want it to expand out of the screen too much, but I just want you all to take a look at that, right? This is what the federal government did for our people, and due to white backlash, due to the Confederates and the Compromise of 1877 and the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878, all of this by 1871 was basically over with. All of this protection, all of these offices, all of the help and assistance that we were receiving as a people was done with, gone. So I wanted to show that, and I want everybody to, look and engage at that map and look where all of these field offices at. Look at that cluster as you look towards the northeast. Matter of fact, let me pull that up, right? You wouldn't expect so many. I mean, and it's not technically the northeast, but it goes all the way up to Delaware with one even close to Philadelphia right there. So we see that this thing was vast and expansive, all the way out to Kentucky, Cincinnati. We see near Cincinnati. I mean, all the way as far out Midwest as Texas, near Odessa, Texas. We had some in San Antonio, Galveston, et cetera, all through Louisiana. We see Shreveport, and they're all through Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. The furthest south is one just past Jacksonville and right before Orlando, Florida. So you see that the federal government at one time, due to the radical Republicans who were in control of the Congress at that time, did in fact, and I'm going to put this link in the inbox so you all can see it and share it out for yourselves, did in time have an investment in our people, but we know what happened. White folks said, hell no. Hell no. So let's get into this Office of New Americans. Now, I just want to jump right into this stuff because I don't want to be on here long. Okay, so this is from congress.gov. This is HR 1308, New Deal for New America's Act of 2021, right? And the sponsor is Representative Ming Grace, a Democrat from New York. Of course, I think New York has the largest immigrant base, if I'm not mistaken. Probably, I don't know, California is probably the largest. But insofar as an immigrant melting pot goes, I think New York may take the case in that regard. My family, one of the smartest chats on YouTube, helped me out with that one. So let's go through HR 138. And of course, I'm not going to go through this whole bill. It's not a really, really large bill, but it's a nice size bill for immigrants, right? So Section 1, short title, table of contents. This act may be cited as the New Deal for New Americans Act of 2021. And it gives the table of contents: New Americans and Integration, programs to promote citizenship, integration, and prosperity. These are the main headers. And, it has its sections, right? Section 101, definition. Sections 102, the National Office of New Americans. Section 103, Federal Initiative on New Americans. Then it has Title II, programs to promote citizenship, integration, and prosperity, reducing barriers to citizenship, refugee resettlement and integration, protections for immigrants. These are things that we do not have laid out for us. They are watered down from the Civil Rights Act of 64 and the Voting Rights Act of 65, and they are being used for everybody else under new names like the Higher Jabara Act. I can't remember what year that was passed, but we're not going to get into this whole thing. But I want to get into Federal Initiative on New Americans, right? And let's put this in the chat for the family as well. Honors, Rembert Seward. Peace to everybody. Lafayette Ward, I see you. All right, I put that in there. So let's get into this thing right here, man. Let's get into this. So federal initiative. Let me make sure. All right, cool. Federal initiative on new Americans. A, establishment no later than 180 days after the confirmation of the director of the office. The director shall establish within the office a federal initiative on new Americans, referred to in this section as the initiative. Purpose. The purposes of the initiatives are to one, to welcome and support immigrants and refugees in the United States. Two, to establish a coordinated federal program to respond effectively to immigrant and refugee integration issues. And three, to advise and assist the director in identifying and implementing the necessary policies to carry out such program. So they have something that they are setting up for immigrants. We have to go to like police civilian review boards and file complaints. We have to sue a bank for discrimination. Byron Allen, we bring him up all the time because he used the 1866 Civil Rights Act, something that we have been teaching on like 6-7 years prior, maybe even 8 years or 9 years before coming into this space. And we have to get hit with by the Supreme Court the but-for standard. But for racism, are you saying that these people discriminated? Okay, well then prove it. And this is why Citigroup did their own study, one that you see us bring up all the time, that shows since the year 2000, the U.S. economy lost $16 trillion due to racial discrimination against the American freedmen. It didn't mention Miss Anne Brown, and y'all know who that is, the Spanish people. Every time they mention black folks, they got to say Anne Brown. So we have a nickname over here, Miss Anne Brown. Okay, so membership. The initiative shall be composed of the director, who shall serve as chair, the secretary of the Treasury, the attorney general, the secretary of commerce, the secretary of labor, the secretary of health and human services, the secretary of housing and urban development, the Secretary of Education, the Secretary of Homeland Security, the Secretary of State, the Director of the Office of Refugee Resettlement, the Director of the Small Business Administration, the Director of the Office of Management and Budget, the Director of the Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection, and any other individual invited by the Director to participate. And it says at B, who occupies a position listed under level 1 or 2 of the executive schedule as provided in sections 5312 and 5313 of Title 5 United States Code. So what I did was I pulled up what is level 1 or level 2 of the executive schedule. And it says the executive schedule is the system of salaries given to the highest ranked appointed officials in the executive branch of the U.S. government. So besides all of the people that I meant that they mentioned that will be a part of this thing, level 1 executive schedule salary is $226,300. Level 2 is $203,700. So this is to show that these are some big wigs that will be dealing with this, the membership insofar as this initiative is concerned. And we get nothing. We get black Democrats telling us to shut up. We get Republicans basically telling us to go to the Democrats because that's who y'all vote for all the time. And even if we was voting for them, they probably tell us to shut up too. Right? Let's just be honest about this whole thing. So let me look at some of Annette Wilcox says refugees and immigrants are two different things. They are, but the way that they're basically integrated terms at this point. The terms are coterminous at this point. So, thinking space said refugees don't exist. It's all a war tactic to force us to accept other countries' people in our space, to steal our things like they did when they got here, brought mass refugees, immigrants, pushed our ancestors out of communities, then passing power from the Dutch to English. No, I don't know. I don't know what you talk about unless you were like a Native American Indian. You can't be talking about our people. But let's get back to the text of this thing. So coordinated response to immigrant and refugees issues, etc. So this is what this federal agency is going to be doing: English language learning, adult education and workforce training, occupational licensure, early childhood care and education, elementary, secondary, and post-secondary education, healthcare, naturalization, civic engagement. That means voting. Remember, New York General Assembly allowed 800,000 non-citizen immigrants to vote in that state. And I think there's a fight in the New York State Supreme Court about that. I can't remember. I seen it a couple of weeks ago. Economic development, language access services, and other services the director identifies as aiding the integration of immigrants and refugees into the social, cultural, economic, and civic life of the United States, i.e., we're bringing you here to replace the black people. We don't want to help them. We don't want to spend a dime on these people, but we're going to spend millions on you new immigrants. Brother Ali, as he drives through New York and New Jersey, he often points out the fact that there are a bunch of stores, right? All of these Hispanic stores. Somebody asked, are American Freedmen refugees? No, they're not. The refugees, well, at that time, if you mean today, no. At that time, yes, there were American freedmen who were refugees, along with white folks who were refugees. They both fell up under that category. Freedmen was a specific status to those who were enslaved, and that's why the title of the actual bureau was called the Bureau of Refugees, Freedmen, and Abandoned Land. So the government sought to, basically correct all three of those things. So, all right, yeah. Annette Wilcox said the non-citizen law was declared illegal a few weeks ago. Okay, I thought I seen that, and I may have shared that. So, I mean, this thing is, I don't know if I want to keep getting into this. Like I said, it's so much to get into, but I put the link in the chat. I want you all to go through it. Let's read this thing, because we've started on legislation for a new Freedmen's Bureau already. And I'm going to get to why I feel it is one of the major things that we should be pushing. Number one, we have a blueprint for it. It's right in front of our faces. It's right up on the screen. We're not going to let them do for these people who may be deadbeat, right, fathers and whatever in their own homes, come over here and then get to enjoy American life while they box us out of everything, then call black men deadbeat fathers, take his driver's license, give the driver's license to an immigrant up in New York, a non-citizen. They actually have a law on that. And we're going to challenge all of that stuff soon. As we grow and we start to build our war chest, the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen will challenge some things, and particularly our political nonprofit, Be the Power, is going to challenge some things. And we need to collectively come together and challenge some things through the various organizations. So let's get up out of this. So what I want to go to now is the website, right? The New American Economy and the American Immigration Council, and it says it has merged. So let's pull that up. Let's run through this real quick. Like I said, I'm not going to be on here that long. Okay, it says the Office of New America's ONA State Network. Now, if they could have a Bureau of an Office of New Americas, then we can have a Bureau of American Freedmen Affairs. And we're going to get it, and we're going to push. We're going to push. Repair comes in many different forms. And I just need people to walk with us because we know what we're talking about. And I'm not saying we have all the answers. We don't. We do not. But we're looking at the history, and we are in a new phase of Reconstruction. And I'm calling it Reconstruction 2.0. The resurrection of the very name Freedmen is proof of that. And it's spreading like wildfire, as it should. It says, together with World Education Services, NAE supporters and co-convenes together with I don't know, that sentence just seems off to me. NAE supports and co-convenes an emerging nationwide office of New Americans, the ONA state network. So it's showing you the states in green. Let me see. So the states that are in the dark green are already member states. The states that are in the faded green this looks to be Michigan, Illinois, and this may be one of the Dakotas. I can't tell. I don't remember offhand. Forget the shape of some of the states, especially them square ones in the Midwest. Anyway, it says through this network, NAE and WES provide a forum for state policy leaders to drive positive change that supports immigrant and refugee integration into the workforce and economy. The ONA state network brings together a wide-ranging group of state officials to share best practices in immigrant and refugee integration and act as critical anchors to help these populations fully integrate into their communities. See, we got herded into red line communities. We got herded into ghettos. This book right here, this book right here, right? Let me hold this up. This book right here, The Color of Law, right? And the subtitle is A Forgotten History of How Our Government Segregated America. Our government segregated America. So now we have an influx of millions of immigrants coming to this country a year. I think the number is about 1 million a year. We are still living in those red line communities. They're what's called the hood now. Since COVID, the crime rate of these hoods have skyrocketed. I mean, I keep calling New York City Gotham without a Batman because it's wild in the place where I was born and raised. It's wild in Baltimore. It's wild in Philadelphia. It's wild in Atlanta, Georgia. It's wilder in Chicago and Milwaukee. It's wild everywhere our people are. How is it that we are engaged in such criminality and America is saying, well, we're not going to fix you? And the criminality is the byproduct of America's neglect. How did the crack get into our neighborhoods? When has the government ever been held to account for how crack cocaine got into our neighborhoods? How did this product that came from South America, Colombia, we say Colombia, but Mexico, Colombia, etc. How did it end up in the streets of New York City? How did it end up in the streets of Los Angeles, California? How? Why was there a war on drugs created by Nixon before any real drugs was in our major cities? And now they're telling us that they're going to bring these new people over. Let me put that link in the inbox. And they're going to do all of these great things for them: peer-to-peer mentoring, coaching and technical assistance, political analysis, tailored economic research. I mean, they are turning them into not just new citizens, but sophisticated new citizens, while our people suffer, still impoverished, still the number one homeless population. Our people are suffering. How is it that we get bypassed, and this government tells us that we can't do nothing for black folk. Stacey Abrams, when asked, I'm going to keep bringing stuff up. Why can't you mention black doing stuff specifically for black folks? Stacey Abrams repeated what is just the fact in the Democratic Party, because you can't just say you're going to do something for black folks. Matter of fact, let's play Obama's words again, y'all. Let's play Obama's words. Let's hear why he didn't want to give reparations, and this is basically why he didn't want to confront the issue of reparations. And this is basically what Stacey Abrams said.
Counterproductive. And it's perfectly understandable why working class white folks, middle class white folks, folks who are having trouble paying the bills or dealing with student loans or, don't have health care, where they feel like government has let them down, wouldn't be thrilled with the idea of a massive program that is designed to deal with the past, but isn't speaking to their future.
You're saying we live in a country where we can do that for bankers on Wall Street, but we can't do it for a part of the population that's been struggling for so long.
Well, I promise you, white folks don't like that either. But look, even though I was convinced that reparations was a non-starter during my presidency, I understand the argument of people I respect, like Ta-Nehisi Coates, that we should talk about it anyway. If for no other reason than to educate the country about a past that too often isn't taught, and let's face it, we'd rather forget.
Okay, so when pressed on doing something specifically for us, he basically said, well, white people are not going to like that. Bruce Springsteen said, but you bailed out the bankers. He said, and white people didn't like that neither. It's just not true. That's just, well, watch this. Hold on. Watch this. Watch this. Let me show y'all something. Let me show y'all something, right? Which white people are he talking about? Which, like this, we have to ask these questions, and there aren't no follow-ups to any of these talking points that Obama, this Trojan horse, and any of these people, when they give these responses, are saying. There are, this is from Insider. This was published November 1st, 2012. So this is during Barack Obama's about to be second term, right? No, this is during his second term, excuse me. The U.S. has added 1.1 new millionaires since Barack Obama was elected president in 2008, according to a new survey of high net worth individuals, right? And I remember going through this. Most of these were white folks. 1.1 million new millionaires. So let's see what it says for black folks. Watch this. Watch this, y'all. Like these people don't care about us. They don't care. They don't care about us at all. Matter of fact, let me blow this up. How Obama destroyed black wealth, right? The nation's first African-American president was a disaster for black wealth. So how was it that a whole bunch of white millionaires were made, 1.1 million of them, but our people were decimated, absolutely decimated by this man's policy? And this isn't an article that's a one-off. Pull up, keyword what I did, Obama destroyed black wealth. That's an article by Jacobin. Here's one by the PDF by the Claude Pepper Center, how Obama destroyed black wealth. In fact, it is what the other articles are using to highlight the fact that Obama's a program designed to, like under President Obama's policy, black wealth was destroyed. The Intercept, Obama's housing policies led to decline in black wealth. New report looks at how Obama's policies destroyed black wealth. The first black president in American history was a disaster for black. They're all repeating what the think tank wrote. So when it comes to white folks, if you do something for black people, there's going to be backlash. There's going to be this backlash. But if you do something for white folks and immigrants, then if it bothers some white folks, then it's okay. But if it's anything for us, then there's a problem. So one of the let me see. Let me get to this. One of the pieces that I pulled out of that bill that I was reading from earlier was the citizenship and integration. It's the Citizenship and Immigration Services program, right? So I want to pull that up. Let's pull that up. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. I hope y'all can see this stuff, man. Fiscal year 2022 Citizenship and Integration Grant Program. This is the federal government is already putting in a lot of money for immigrants, right? But this is a grant program. So let's read. On June 27, 2022, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services began accepting applications for 4 competitive funding opportunities under the Citizenship and Integration Grant Program. Through these 4 opportunities, USCIS will offer up to $20 million in competitive funding for organizations that help prepare immigrants for naturalization and promote civic integration through increased knowledge of English, U.S. history, and civics. Through these 4 opportunities, the USCIS, this is 2022, will offer up 20 million. This is 20 million that's going into education. Education. This group receives, hey, look, anticipated funding amount. Wait, estimated number of awards up to 42, right? So they have an applications deadline, estimated number of awards 42, anticipated funding amount up to 13.8 million. Maximum grant award is 300,000. 150,000 for the first year and the 150,000 for the second year. These people are pumping money into immigration as a business for these people. And I have to go through poor black neighborhoods all over this country that are receiving nothing. They are receiving nothing. These people are funding our replacement. And we're sitting here and we're being told that we have to take it. We shouldn't do nothing. This guy that was attacking me, this sucker dude on Twitter, whose Twitter handle says Biden and Harris are the moment. Tell us we should shut up. Immigrants ain't taking y'all's jobs. Immigrants are not replacing y'all. They trying to paint us as replacement theorists. It's not a theory. It's a fact. It's a fact. I pull up from the PDF, the study that was done in 2013, diversity for diversity. What is it called? When diversity for diversity's sake is not enough. And it speaks to, what is it? Let me pull the title up. And I don't know, I'm not getting, for whatever reason, my PDFs was not showing up in my browser. When diversity for diversity's sake is not enough, should black immigrants receive the benefits of affirmative action at the detriment of native blacks? And matter of fact, let me read, because just in case some of the black Democrats are on and the people that are trying to paint us as some form of, I don't know, right-wing replacement theory theorists, etc. Let's read this. It says, matter of fact, did I put that link in there? Let me put the link in there. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all share this video out. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Make sure y'all hit that little bell icon. Support the channel. Super chat, cash app, be the power. Okay, let's read this. The continued admission of large proportions of black immigrants relative to native blacks goes against an important diversity rationale in Grutter versus Bollinger. A cornerstone of the diversity rationale in Grutter, which allowed the use of race-based, and that could be pronounced Grutter, race-based preferences in higher education admission policies, was to create an environment of diverse experiences that would help to dispel negative stereotypes held of certain minority groups. Black immigrants have now become an overrepresented group within black populations at many colleges and universities, particularly at more selective institutions. When I'm reading, I see the words, like I could see the words as, ahead of the sentence before I'm actually finished reading the words. So I tend to do that sometimes, and I slip up when I'm reading instead of just reading slow like I normally read. But when I'm on the platform, I try to speed through it because usually the bros are on, and so I've developed that pattern since we've been doing Be the Power. I'm gonna try to slow down. The trend is significant because black immigrants bring with them experiences and perspectives similar to those held by other immigrant groups as compared to native blacks. And more importantly, black immigrants harbor views of native blacks that are similar to those held by the dominant American culture, including many of the negative stereotypes of native blacks and the black subculture. So these people come over here and they look at us the same way that a lot of racist white folks look at us. These black immigrants. That's what this particular paper is speaking about. And I put the link in the inbox. Nick Maynard asks, what are we going to do about it? That's what this show is about, right? The title of this show is, should a new Freedmen's Bureau be our first priority? It's a question that I'm asking. What would be some of the things that we did in this new Freedmen's Bureau? Part of the legislation that we're working on, right? Establishing our office to help disaggregate the data, disaggregate our people. If the Office of Management and Budget will not do it, and I believe if we're able to get this thing moving, then we can get them to do it. But for the meantime, we will have our own database, federally funded. We want to do state repatriation for the American freedmen back to their ancestral states of origins. Time to pull our people from the North, at least half of them at least, and the West and the Midwest. It's 44% of our people live outside of the South. Pull 22% of them back so we could have a political population and political majority in at least 9 states in the South, but particularly 5, right? We really want to target Georgia, South Carolina, Louisiana, Alabama, and Mississippi. We take control over those 5 states. We take control over 10 Senate seats, and we have our own governors. We control the state houses. This is a viable plan, family. It's a real, tangible plan. It is something that can be done if we could get the right push behind it. But they don't want us pushing this. They want to replace us. Atlanta was a majority black. Watch this. Like we just pull up the stats, man. That's all. We don't deal with a bunch of opinions over here. And what our opinions are, we state them to the people, whatever our opinions are, right? We'll say, we'll preface what we're saying by saying that, we believe and we are of the opinion that, et cetera, et cetera. So, boom, no more black majority in Atlanta. And Atlanta Journal-Constitution analysis shows a 47% black population in 2020. 47% black population in 2020. And the thing with that black population is that the immigrants are moving in, and the black immigrants, let me say, and they are becoming high-paying executives in Atlanta, which means they are able to afford the high rents that are now being, when you understand the real estate market and what's going on across the nation, a lot of real estate companies are taking over units, especially private owned units, like the one that I'm in right now, and they're raising the rent $200, $300, and $400. My rent was raised. This is a way to gentrify neighborhoods, and you get to push out people who are poor, right? Because the people who are poor usually, they have some stuff with them, basically, and it is a byproduct of the condition that was inherent. It was inherent. It wasn't, they try to make it seem like we're just naturally this way, and we're not. Because if you look at black immigrants in Africa, and we get into some of the things that let's just say Nigerians do. They cut people's hearts out and eat the hearts of their enemies. I watched a video not too long ago. I mean, they kill people that are of different religions, et cetera, et cetera. They get to come over here and live good. But they try to make it seem like this criminality is inherent in our people. And so we shouldn't be there anyway. I was listening to this live stream with this guy called Pan-Africanist Strike Back, and it was being shared by some people. This one particular person that we had on this platform that said that this one guy was on the panel and said, this was his words, tethers should come in and replace black Americans, replace them. Like, what? Where do the black Americans go? Where are we supposed to go? We going to make a trade? What do you mean by this? So I am of yes, this is an excellent book. Back of the Hiring Line, a 200-year history of immigration surges, employer bias, and depression of black wealth. Y'all make sure y'all read that book so that you can understand how immigration has not only helped destroy us in the past, it is destroying us right now. We did a book club with the author of that book. Sister Shanna is putting that information in the inbox. Shout out to our sister. Shout out to all the BTP mods in the building as well. Brother Muffin Nellis said he's going to pitch Operation Closed Fist at a rally in October. Nick Maynard says, sounds like a good plan. Yeah. So, some of the things that these are some of the things that we want to establish. And if we're able to implement a program where we can pull our people out of the North into the South, this is something we can do. This is something we can do together. Then we'll be able to do that. We will be able to provide rental and medical and other assistance to poor freedmen. Monies will have to fund that bureau. We can start building our people up, right? And the offices, well, the federal office will be the Bureau of American Freedmen Affairs. And all over the country, we'll have the Office of Freedmen Affairs as satellites. This is a real plan, family. This is a real plan. This isn't a strategy about the plan that we will not talk about on air, but this is the plan. We will have our own American Freedmen history and civic workshops, which will help move voter apathetic electors among our people. Workforce development and training, which supports the economic integration of our people, whether they already live in target states or are repatriated. And we're not going to abandon our people in those other states. No, we're not going to do that, but we're still going to be pushing for them to come down. We're going to be trying to push them in one sense in the North, in the Midwest, and out in the West, and pull them into the South. Because I was born and raised in New York City. The more I learned about the freedmen and my understanding that I am a freedman, I am an American freedman, because that status is transferable. The badges and incidents of slavery are transferable. transferable. I wear them. I wear them. I am a victim of them. Not just the badges and incidents, but also the vestiges of slavery. Also its vestiges. So, and just like they have grant a mechanism so that grants can be utilized, we will develop that, right? We will try to work with the Department of Treasury to establish or work with already established nonprofit entities to spur our own innovation in the expansion of our civic education, workforce skills, and preparation, support assistance, et cetera, et cetera. I believe because of that, then we should put that in the forefront of our push for reparative justice, aka reparations. To have that thing there. My backlight is crazy. I got like the shadowy glow around me. I should have fixed that before I came on. But anyway, let me get to some of the comments because, like I said, I'm not staying on here long at all. Let me see. Nick Maynard said, "You're right, bro. Immigrants are flooding all the small towns in Southwest Georgia, especially farming towns, coming in by the busload." I had to pick up my children. Well, my daughter, she was coming from North Carolina a couple months ago, and I went to this bus stop, and you would have sworn you were in Mexico. There was a big wooden cardboard. It wasn't even cardboard. It was like just wooden. It wasn't cardboard. It looked like plywood. And spray painted on it was a huge MS-13, I guess, territorial marking. Looked like I was in Mexico, family. I'm looking up at the structure. I'm looking at the stores. I'm looking at the people. Like, what is this? If you drive through Duluth, Georgia, you're going to see Vietnamese, Korean, Chinese. What else, man? Who else out there? I mean, Japanese, the banks, institutions. I tell y'all all the time about the Chinese supermarket with the Mexican workers. The Chinese have a whole supermarket and most of their workers are Mexicans. Like, what's going on here? They're building an immigrant utopia, and we don't have any of that. All the supermarkets where I live and where we all live, they're not Freedmen-owned supermarkets at all. At all. So let's get through some of these. Thinking space that I think is a marvelous idea. Annette Wilcox says, Black immigrants will support more policing and increase of mass incarceration to get more Black people in prison and out of Main Street. I believe that based on some of the, the comments that I've seen by some of these people over the past couple of years. Let me see. Muffet Nellen said, Pan-Africanism strikes back is just a jealous op. His main goal is YouTube views and opposition to Freedmen for opposition's sake. Yeah, this guy's a clown. He is. My sister Buffalo said, thank you for this, Naheem. Honest, sis. Honest. Honest to Brother Lafayette Ward for contributing to the platform. He said, demands are paramount and imperative for American freedmen, and that is a fact. Good Times said, have you noticed West Coast states are busing immigrants into states with higher Black populations? I'm not, but I would love to see some data on that. If y'all follow me on Twitter at Real Naheem, my Twitter handle is in the description. My email address is naheem@usadof.org. I'm going to put that in the chat right now. If you got some of them links, send me that stuff. We'll bring it up, and we got to talk about it. We're being replaced. We're being replaced. Ty Major said, that's California for you in a nutshell. Thinking Space said they're never in white neighborhoods. And yeah, and please check those links that Sister Shanna is putting in the chat. We have had discussions on this, like this one. Should blacks move back to the South for political power? Part 2. Nick Maynard said, I don't know any Freedmen-owned stores. They are already jailing us at a high rate. And this is what I'm talking about, family. This is what I mean. We have to take control over our destiny. And, I was addressing a lot of the Twitter space stuff last night, and I'm going to address it slightly again. I'm not going to get deep into it. I didn't get into this thing to have these back and forths with people who are supposed to be on the same page, the Freedmen. It's not what I got into this thing. I knew that disagreements would arise. They are going to arise. The opinion of man is, it usually guides his thinking, right? Most people are guided by their opinions more so than facts. And that's the reality and the nature of how the human psyche works and how people process thoughts and information, etc. So we expect some of that. But, it's like, we talk about Don't Vote Blue 2022, and you see a campaign that comes out that says Don't Vote Blue 2022. Then you see somebody else coming, they'll do something else. They'll do something else similar, as opposed to saying, damn, I support that. I have some ideas. How can we work with the Don't Vote Blue 2022 campaign? Let's link us. Can you link us, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You try to propose one thing, and people that have, they, in my opinion, are not going to do anything but Twitter spaces and Twitter or YouTube or whatever they do. They're going to try to come up and propose something to counter what it is that what we're trying to do. Is like I'm writing legislation. I would share some of the legislation that I'm writing, but it's crazy that hold on. I'm putting my Twitter handle in the inbox. It's crazy that I don't want to share it because there's someone out there that will take it and take the little bit that we have, then probably get the rest of it wrong and try to repackage and go around us instead of us just working together. Something that I've been calling for the longest. And people think a lot of these beefs are, they BTP start this stuff, right? They think we, y'all always the ones that's in some mess. Nah, we just always the ones that's calling out the BS. Like, why would you want to be a workaround? Like, all right, I hear this idea, I'm going to take it, I'm going to run with it, and I'm going to try to do something without these guys while shitting on these guys at the same exact time so that I could get everybody against them and then make it seem like this is an idea that I put together so that I can push and I can look like the bigger person. It's corny, man. We are losing. And for those of you who have joined late, I hope you go back to the beginning and watch what I was reading from the bill that is going to deal with. Man, let me pull that back up. Right, that is going to deal with the immigrants. Let me see. It's House Resolution 1308. My browser is just acting funny for whatever reason. Oh, the name of this is the deal. Hold on. Let's pull this back up before I get up off of here. I just want to drive this last point home. All right, New Deal for New Americans Act of 2021. So basically, the New Deal for us was a bad deal. The New Deal, when it came to American Freedmen, was a bad deal. I read last night how they established the Great Society, which was a series of legislation or legislative prescriptions that were supposed to help remedy many of the ailments that our people face. And it was a disaster. The rich just got richer, like they do with the opportunity zones today. And then this new deal for new Americans, I mean, they are laying it all out, family, for people that put no work in to this country. And they're going to skip right over us. Let's go to, watch this, one out of Georgia. And this is the one that we're going to be fighting. I was supposed to call a meeting on this. I'm trying to find the actual article. Let me stop sharing. Hold on. Hold on one second, family. I'm trying to find, oh, there it goes. Let me pull this back up, right? Okay. Lawmakers introduce bill to help refugees attend Georgia colleges. And you know, this is House Bill 932. And we have to fight against this. And so to all the people that are in Georgia, I mean, I said I was gonna do a call to action. Life happens. Life definitely happens. And that's why I haven't done it yet. But I'm putting it on the periphery of our people so that we can have it. And we will be doing that call to action soon. I might just do it this Sunday. So for those of you who are from Georgia that's listening in, just be on the lookout for that. So members of the Georgia House rolled out legislation earlier this month that would boost refugees' access to public higher education in the state. House Bill 932 seeks to extend in-state tuition rates to refugee students at the University System of Georgia and the Technical College System of Georgia as soon as they settle in the state. In-state tuition is about $7,000. Out-of-state tuition, I think, is $23,000 or $32,000. I can't remember at the moment. The government is footing the bill. These people are immigrants and refugees specifically. They have no money. They're coming over here, and the government is putting money into their pockets and then are going to fund their schooling. Athens Tech teaches damn near every trade that you need to be competitive in the market today. And they're saying we're going to bypass the black citizens, the freedmen, in a city like Athens, where Athens Tech is located, where UGA is located at. We're going to bypass the freedmen who are descending deeper and deeper into crime, gang violence, and drug. I mean, some of these little dudes is just messed up, and that's just everywhere. That's everywhere. Forget them. Let them die out. Let them go to jail. So let's find the key word in here. Labor shortages, right? And in the book, the back of the hiring line, that's one of the things that the author points out, that labor shortage is like this code word that they use to just bring in more immigrants. So it says, in Georgia and across the country, the pace of the post-COVID economic recovery has been slowed by the persistent challenge of labor shortages. Quote, we currently have more jobs in Georgia available than we have people to fill them. A lot of small business owners are telling me we need access to more labor, Cantrell said. All refugees want to do is work. They want to live the American dream. Easing their access to education could help make that happen. Ain't that crazy, family? This one person, the lawmaker, says Georgia businesses across the state are struggling with workforce shortages, and HB 932 is a much needed tool for building that pipeline. Georgia refugees bring skills and talents to the state from countries around the world. Many of these young people have put their education on hold due to war and conflict, and they're eager to restart their schooling. build their skills, and get into the workforce to support themselves and their families. So they basically said, screw you, American freedmen. Screw you. Screw you. We're going to bring immigrants in and we're going to let them do all the work because we don't have enough people. And the immigrants want to work. The Negroes, now they don't want to work. They want to sell drugs and get locked up and go to jail. They want to do that. No, they don't want to do that. They feel that it is their only option because America has neglected them. And so they do what they can. Survival. Survival is a human's number one instinct. Period. Period. So let me put that in the chat as well. And I want y'all to read all of this stuff. I want y'all to read all of this stuff. Peace, brother Ali Dawood L, and everybody else that has joined. Let me see. All right, so the only way we can make a difference is if we bring these issues to the forefront so people can read and see them for themselves. We're trying to create political cohesion amongst our people in this space. But you have some people that's not really about that, man. They're not. California, they're doing a great job with what they're doing with their local, and I, we could call it an atonement program, but I mean, it's called the Reparations Task Force, right? We know that true reparations can only be done at the federal level, but they just got a disaggregation bill passed. And I'll finally share, because it's going to be mentioned on the Twitter space tonight, that brother Chris Larson is going to be holding, he and his organization, CJEC, that we at Be the Power, the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen, worked with CJEC to help craft the language of that bill. I can't remember the number of that bill. If one of you all know the number, I believe Sister Shanna may know it, you can put that in the chat. I'll get to that, Immortal Truth. And we really went in on that piece. We poured over it for several hours until we got the language sound. We got that thing right and exact. If anybody from if a lawmaker was to read it, they wouldn't not believe that some brothers from Be the Power had put that together. And the brother said that they didn't accept all of the language in the bill, but some things have been in there. He's gonna break it down tonight, right? So, okay. Sister Shanna said right now it's approved for federal employees. It went through the Senate committees and Gavin signed it. No voters. Okay, cool. Charlie Jacobs said, where are our lawyers to file lawsuits against discriminatory practices for new Americans? Where are our lawyers to file lawsuits against these I don't really understand the question. Yeah, that's it. AB 1604, the Upward Mobility Act of 2022, boards and commissions, civil service, examinations, classifications. Perfect. Peace, Asim Majet, who said peace to the freedmen. Okay, so I want to go to Immortal Truth. He said, what is the five-point plan moving forward in 2022? We don't have anything laid out insofar as a 5-point plan. It's something that we all could collectively come up with if we put our heads together and people stop trying to get out in front of everybody. Y'all notice we don't do that? We don't try to get out in front of anybody. The only thing we do is teach. That's all we do. We don't make no money off of this. I'll probably make gas money for the month off of off of YouTube. A month's worth of gas money. Like when the number one point of that plan is we got to put the BS to the side, Immortal Truth. That should be point number one. How are we going to get this thing done if we're fighting each other on Twitter Spaces, if we holding 6-hour, 7-hour Twitter Spaces talking about each other? How? If we are supposed to be because it's real stuff going on in our cities, in our neighborhoods, in our states, and that's a fact. And we will be the most effective there, but we cannot act like our influence is not transferable and translatable on Twitter. That's the political space. That's where the politics is happening. That is the political platform. You can't act like that's not happening. And then we're going back and forth with each other on Twitter and Twitter Spaces. How do we move forward together? See, when we're planning for a Freedmen parade and convention next year. And we're inviting everybody. It's an open invitation. It's an open invitation. And of course, we'll try to come up with speakers and those who will speak to the crowd, but all freedmen are invited. All freedmen are invited. So, I'm sitting back and I'm just kind of watching things play out. And I believe that this freedmen movement is what's going to get us over the hump. I don't care what you call yourself. No one could deny the fact that American Freedmen is an actual legal political status in this country. It never went nowhere. We just stopped using it. We were tricked out of using it. Thanks to the United Daughters of the Confederacy, which is why we chose the name United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen, so that we could reverse the lost cause teachings and the deleterious effects that those teachings have had on our people for the past several generations. So it's time for us to get to work now. And, I came on here, I sing Majet. I came on here to break down the Freedmen's Bureau, break down the Office of New Americas, and show why I believe that we need to have a new Freedmen's Bureau in these days and times to facilitate the things that our people need insofar as remedy is concerned. So I'm going to close this thing out, family. Thank you all for your participation. Let me see. It's a lot of comments, and I can't just get up and grab me a water. My mouth is getting dry. I'm gonna try to run through some of this stuff. Somebody thinking space said it's just a distraction to stop us from fixing our own things and setting ourselves apart. They want to destroy who we are for a false identity. Ali Dawu L said family should never fight in front of company. Some people don't get it. We don't try to engage until it's like the last measure and we're forced to defend ourselves in a position, especially when we see people trying to take the movement somewhere. There's some people that are speaking who are, in my opinion, not qualified to speak. I got into it on Twitter a couple months back with a person that said she just came into the space 4 months ago. Didn't know what she was talking about at all. She told me she just got into it 4 months ago. I'm like, sis, and just fall back. Then you don't even know what's like. We at Be the Power, we've been studying most of this stuff for years, especially Reconstruction history. We're pulling all of that stuff up now. We've been studying this stuff for years. We always bring truth with proof. Absolutely. Sister Riri said, can't move forward with everyone, may have to leave some behind. And that's where I'm at with it, sis. That's just where I'm at with it. You know, that's why I've made certain moves that I've made over the past couple days, especially calling that meeting, because I want to see who's real and who's fake. If you're really, really about this, then, I mean, you can't flip on me for my efforts, because I just tried to dead all the beefs and say that we should unify. And most of them people, they're not going to unify. They love the attention and they love the things that come with the attention. If they're really about this work, then what I did the other day was a great thing for those that are really about this work. And I got a few messages in the back channel to prove that, Charlie Jacobs said, we are freedmen lawyers to file lawsuits against, I'm guessing he means annihilation. I don't know, man, but it's the way we approach it. We didn't understand the 13th Amendment the way we do now. That these violations that we are faced with are violations of the 13th Amendment and the Civil Rights Act of 1866. Go back and watch the stream I did last night. Sister Riri said, I wish it was different. Yeah, some people are, they're not in this for the same thing, Sister Riri. They're not in this for the same thing at all. Some people just want the attention. And some people, I'll sit back and I'll listen, and it seems like they're intentionally trying to divert the attention. Let me see. Are you hinting at building or organizing an FBA/Freedmen United political party? No. We don't have the resources. Matter of fact, let's speak to that. I'll speak to the brother Eric from the Freedmen Party in California. Brother Logic was speaking with the brother and about the Freedmen Party. He jumped out there and he was putting out this information and he was trying to tag us and no, we're not ready for that. That's number one. That is number one. We are not ready for that. We can't even stop bickering on Twitter, and you think we're ready to put together a whole third political party that is going to take probably $1 billion to move the way that we need to move. We're not ready for that. We do need to create a Freedmen caucus. I believe that wholeheartedly. And they already have the Black caucus in the Democratic Party. My thing is, being that we started out as Republicans, we should create a Freedmen caucus inside the Republican Party, which will push out all of the races and push them back to their original party, the Democratic Party, and leave us to our devices. At least that's my theory. That's what I believe. That's what I believe. And that's where I'm at with it. We don't have the capital. We don't have enough anything to actually start a third party. And those that follow this channel, you'll find clips of me saying we need a third party. We need a third party, until one day we had a conversation about that. We had a conversation and we really went through the nuts and bolts of it. And the brother went on and did it anyway. And then got mad at us because we didn't want to back that thing. It's like, no, that's not what we're doing over here. And that's typically what happens if we don't get behind 40 acres in a Tesla, or we don't get behind Freedmen Party. It's like, well, F them dudes. Who got beef with them? I'm going to go over there where they got beef with BTP at, and I'm going to join them, and I'm going to try to pull everybody into whatever it is that we're trying to do with this thing, and we can say, screw BTP because we're doing this over here. Yay. We just sit back and don't say nothing after that. We just let it be. And we let the thing play out the way that it's going to play out. Nobody wants to build the ABCs of it. Get politically educated first before you start a political party. Know everything there is to know about politics. before you even think about it. That's first and foremost. Logic, asking the questions to the anyway. I want to get it. I want to shift it off of that, brother. If it's successful, much success to you. See, we don't own the name Freedmen. Nobody owns it. It's a political status. So it is what it is. If it works out for you, so be it. So be it. We don't even have a political action committee. Like there's steps. There's steps. AIPAC, they give money to the Democrats and the Republicans. What are we doing? We don't have a political action committee. Come on, fam. We got to start thinking. Because if we had a PAC that we could build into a super PAC, then we can start greasing politicians' hands under the table, because government is the game and politics is how it's played. We can start greasing these politicians' hands under the table and say, we want the Freedmen's Bureau, a new Freedmen's Bureau Act passed. We want it pushed through the House. You make sure you get everybody in line so that they can push this thing through. All right, I'm not going. It's too many comments and questions up there, so I'm not going to get into all of them. But you can't skip steps. You can't skip steps in this thing, family. You simply cannot skip steps. We have to take everything a step at a time. Josh came up with this terminology because we listen to some people, and some people, they good and they know what they're talking about. But then the proposals they come up with, like, so Josh said, what he said, fire, ready, aim, as opposed to ready, aim, fire. He called certain people fire, ready, aim. But we keep that stuff to ourselves for the most part. We keep it to ourselves. Like, we're not trying to police anybody, but if we see something going in the wrong direction, we have the right to speak out on it. And if somebody feels that something we're doing is going in the wrong direction, they too have the right to speak out on it. We're not going to get mad and throw hissy fits and try to join other groups to go at other people. No, we're going to come right here on BTP and do what we do best. Show and prove, AKA Mr. Just the Facts. So, Brother Chris said, keep that politics education going. Yes, the political education has to go on. It has to. Thinking Space said, I don't want to pay them when they won't even pay reparations. Well, you got to understand, you can't just understand politics from a rudimentary level. You have to understand politics from a 48 Laws of Power, Game of Thrones type of level as well. What do people respond to? There's a saying that politicians respond to pressure. Politicians respond to money. That's what they respond to. Let's set up a super PAC, the Freedmen PAC. Let's set that up. Let's start putting money in it. Let's set up a board with oversight and a treasurer so that this money can never be abused, but only used for its purpose, which is to fund our political initiatives. This is politics. This is what the politicians are doing. We have to take something into our own hands. And the bad part is, if we start a political action committee over here, they're going to ignore it, and then somebody else is just going to come up with either the same thing or a counter idea just because we came up with the political action committee. Because nobody really wants to work together. Dudes just want to be the head Negroes in charge. And not just the dudes, it's women too. Women too. Our people got that big head syndrome. So I've stayed on 26 minutes longer than I wanted to. So I'm gonna end this thing right now, family. We come on here and spit facts. We come on here, we share information, we share the data, we share the Freedmen history especially. Freedmen history especially. We're doing our job. We're doing our job. So if you want to build something, let's get up. I think that the Freedmen's Bureau should be a part of our initial push. I think building a super PAC, let's get our mind off of trying to build up a political party. That's my opinion. That's my advice. Somebody may feel different. I'm not trying to step on nobody or their dreams. That's just not where I'm at with it because of my understanding. My understanding says, nah, you know what we should do? Get politically educated first. Start quizzing certain people about certain political things, if you will, and they'll fall flat on their faces. It is what it is. So I'll leave you all with the motto of the platform. Oh, wait, hold on. All right, I'm gonna pull this comment up and I'm gonna read it. Says FBA are the ordinary Black Americans, ADOS are the elitists. Seems like Freedmen are in the middle so far. I can't tell nobody how to feel, right? We are the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen. We are a organization, but I want to clarify that Freedmen itself is not a group. It's not a group. It's not a social media hashtag. It's not a social media presence. It's not a gang, clique, etc., etc. It is our political status. That is a fact. The people that are FBA, the people that are ADOS are in fact American freedmen. They're American freedmen. That's a fact. So, I just wanted to point that out because that's one of the tactics that the Black Democrats are trying to use. They're trying to, drive these wedges. When I had the brother Stephen on, he was trying to create a beef with me. And, you're not going to do that with me. There's a lot of stuff out there that I disagree with. There's a lot of directions that I see things moving that I'll be like, nah, man. Nah, that's not it. It's a blueprint. There's a map. There's a map to this thing. And everybody else is using it. We can't take no shortcuts. There's no back doors that we can slide through. If we want to be politically effective in the very near future, then we have to follow the process. There's no jumping the line. You can't jump the line. You can't. So honors for everybody that contributed to the platform tonight. Shout out to everybody that's in the building. Freedmen Media said HNIC ain't the way, and that is a fact. It's not, because I'm not the HNIC, and I never pretend that I am. And if there's somebody that can prove otherwise, I challenge you to do so. And not just me, anybody on Be the Power. I just simply challenge you to do so. That's all. Y'all see how many views this channel get. And yet we still put out, in my opinion, some of the most dynamic information in this space. So let me finally end it. I'll leave you all with the motto of the platform, which is don't just fight the power, become the power. And then and only then will you have the power to make a change. And with that, I say peace.